The silent cry in the alley. The sky above the alien city was broken. Ash floated in the air. Ruins stretched for miles. Once, this place was a peaceful home for thousands. Now, it was a dead zone. Daniel Gray, a human medic left behind after the evacuation, moved silently through the narrow alleyways. His boots made soft crunching sounds on broken glass and alien metal. He had a scanner in one hand and a small laser pistol in the other. He wasn't here to fight. He was just trying to survive. Suddenly he heard something. It wasn't footsteps, it wasn't a machine, it was a voice, soft, weak, crying. He froze. Help. Please. Someone. The voice called. Daniel raised his scanner. The signal was faint, just one life form. Female, non-human. He followed it, passing a smashed vehicle and crawling through a collapsed wall. The voice grew louder. Please, my baby. She's not breathing. Daniel stepped into a dark alley. At the far end, under a metal beam, sat a strange figure. A woman, clearly alien, her skin pale violet, her eyes glowing faint gold in the shadows. She was rocking something in her arms, a small child. Daniel walked slowly toward her, hands raised. I'm not here to hurt you, he said. I'm human, but I'm not your enemy. The alien woman looked up at him. Tears ran down her cheeks, silver and bright. She won't wake up, she whispered. Please help her, I don't know what to do. Daniel knelt beside her and looked at the child. She was small, maybe 2 years old by human standards. Her chest was barely rising. He opened his med bag quickly and pulled out a scanner. It struggled to read alien biology, but something was clear. The girl's energy level was crashing fast. She's alive, he said, calming her, but just barely. Her name is Yira, the woman said, clutching her close. She's all I have left. Daniel didn't ask questions, there was no time. He searched his bag for anything useful. The human meds wouldn't work, but he had one universal stimulant, a rare one meant for critical situations. He loaded the vial and carefully injected it near Yira's shoulder. They waited. Seconds passed. Nothing. Daniel checked her again. Her life signs were still falling. No, the mother gasped, holding her tighter. No, please. Wake up. Daniel looked at the scanner again. He noticed something strange. Her energy core, the alien version of a heart, was flickering. It wasn't a disease, it wasn't a wound. It was starvation, but not food. She was missing something, something critical to her species. What does she eat? He asked quickly. Crystallion, the woman replied. A rare mineral, but there's none left. Not since the bombing. It powered her core. Without it, she can't survive. Daniel remembered something. Years ago, human engineers had used crystallion to power early outposts on this planet. One of those places might still have some left. There's a chance, he said. An old human supply bunker nearby. It might have what she needs. But it's dangerous there, the woman warned. Scavengers, poison air. Daniel stood up and tightened his gear. Then I'll be fast, he replied. Stay hidden, don't let anyone see you. If I don't come back in 2 hours, run. The woman grabbed his hand. Her fingers were cold, trembling. Please, she said again, her voice breaking. She's my everything. He looked at the little girl's peaceful face, too peaceful. I'll save her, Daniel promised, I swear. As he turned and ran back into the smoke-filled ruins, the alien mother rocked her child gently, whispering lullabies in a language Daniel didn't know. But the desperation in her voice was clear, and so was her hope. Alien biology, human hope. Daniel moved quickly through the broken streets, his lungs burning from the smoke in the air. Behind him, in the shadows of the alley, the alien mother waited with her dying child. Every step he took echoed in silence. He had no time to waste. He reached the old bunker entrance, covered in debris and vines. It was a forgotten place, one of the first human supply stations built when Earth first made contact with Sirayans, the alien race on this planet. Daniel remembered it from maps. If the mineral crystalline still existed anywhere, it would be here. He forced the door open, coughing as dust and mold rushed out. The lights inside flickered dimly. Power was weak. But his scanner beeped. There was still energy in the systems. He moved inside quickly, past rows of broken crates and burned-out machines. Something creaked above. A shadow moved. He wasn't alone. Daniel froze, listening. Claws scraped on metal. Suddenly, a scavenger, a mutated alien creature twisted by radiation, lunged at him from the side. Its skin was blackened, its eyes pure red. Daniel ducked, rolled, and fired his laser pistol. The blast hit the creature's shoulder, making it shriek. Another came out from the darkness. He was surrounded. No time to fight them all. Daniel spotted an emergency vent and dove inside, crawling through tight space. Heart pounding. He dropped into the main power room, slamming the hatch shut behind him. He scanned the room. In the far corner, he saw it. A crate labeled crystalline. Energy cells. Yes, he whispered, rushing over. He broke the lock and grabbed the glowing, blue vials. There were only 3 left, but it was enough to save the child. Just as he turned to leave, a warning flashed on the wall. Toxic gas leak detected. Evacuation advised. The bunker had been unstable for years, and now it was collapsing. Daniel ran, barely avoiding falling beams and fire sparks. He climbed out just in time before the doorway behind him exploded in flames. Burned, coughing and bleeding from his arm, he staggered back through the ruined streets toward the alley. He reached the place and stopped. The alien mother was gone. Panic hit him like a punch. "Soraya?" he called. "Where are you?" A soft whisper came from the shadows. She had moved deeper into the ruins to stay hidden. She rushed out, eyes wide when she saw his bleeding arm. "You're hurt." "I'm fine," he said, falling to his knees. "But I got it." He held out the glowing crystalline vial. Soraya looked at it like it was magic. Without wasting a second, she took it, crushed the crystal, and let its vapor flow into a tiny device near the baby's chest. Yira's small body glowed faintly. Her chest rose again, once, twice. Her fingers twitched. Then her golden eyes opened slowly. She was alive. Soraya dropped to her knees, sobbing in relief. Thank you, human." Daniel sat back, exhausted. "She's strong, like her mother." There was silence for a while. Only the soft cooing of the baby could be heard. Then Soraya looked at him seriously. "You should know something." He nodded, breathing hard. "She's not just Sorayan," she whispered. "She's half human." Daniel's eyes widened. "What?" Soraya looked away. "Years ago, I saved a human soldier during the First War. We fell in love, for a short time. He died protecting me. Yira was born after that. I hid her because the others would never accept her." Daniel stared at the baby. Half human, half alien. That's why her energy core was failing. Her biology was unique. That's why nothing had worked before. "I knew a human would come back someday," Soraya said softly. "And I prayed that, if that happened, they would help her." Daniel looked into her eyes. "You were right," he said. "I'm not leaving her. Or you." Soraya looked at him with something new in her eyes. Not just gratitude, hope. The forbidden outpost. The morning sky above the ruins was red, like blood mixed with fire. Daniel sat on a broken ledge, wrapping a bandage around his burnt arm. Beside him, Soraya rocked her baby gently, humming a soft tune. Yira's eyes were open now, glowing faintly. She was weak, but alive. The crystalline had worked, but it wouldn't last long. "She'll need more," Soraya whispered. "That vial gave her maybe a day, 2 at most." Daniel nodded. "I know where we can get more, but it won't be easy." He pulled out a torn map from his jacket. "There's an old research outpost, deep inside the Forbidden Zone. Human. Tech, alien tech, Krista Leon was stored there for fusion experiments, but no one goes there anymore. Because it's cursed, Soraya said. Because it's guarded, Daniel corrected her. Soraya frowned. Guarded by what? No one knows, Daniel replied. That's why it's called the Hollow Core. People go in, but they don't come out. Soraya looked down at Yira. The child's small hand clutched her mother's finger. Her breathing was steady but slow. I'll go alone, Daniel said, standing. Soraya grabbed his wrist. You won't survive alone, and she needs you. Daniel hesitated. Then we go together. The path to the outpost was covered in rusted wreckage, collapsed towers, and strange alien growths. Trees twisted with metal. Glowing spores floated in the air like fireflies, but they burned skin on contact. Daniel held Soraya's hand tightly as they moved. He had seen many battlefields, but this place felt dead, like time had frozen. Then they saw it. A large, black dome, cracked and silent, stood in the middle of the wasteland. The forbidden outpost. Looks like it hasn't been touched in years, Soraya said. That's what scares me, Daniel replied. They entered through a side hatch, the metal door groaning open after years of silence. Inside, it was dark, lit only by flickering green lights. Broken machines lined the walls. Screens still flashed old alerts. A single phrase repeated again and again in red. Do not power the core. What does it mean? Soraya asked. Daniel didn't answer. He was staring at the shattered glass chamber in the center of the room. Inside it was a pod, empty. Something was kept here, Daniel said slowly. Something powerful. Suddenly, Yira whimpered in Soraya's arms. The child's chest flickered again. She was fading. Daniel looked around quickly and found what he came for. Rows of crystalline tubes inside a locked vault. He moved to open it when, bang! The wall behind them cracked open. A large figure stepped out. Not human. Not fully alien either. It was some kind of failed experiment. Tall, armored, glowing from within. Its voice was metallic and deep. Intruders detected. Hybrid life form must be surrendered. Soraya backed up, holding Yira close. No, she shouted. Daniel stepped between them. Kundran, you're not taking her. The creature's red eyes locked onto him. Human signature detected, matching. Gray Kyle, deceased. Daniel froze. That was my brother's name, he said. How do you know that? The machine didn't answer. Instead, it raised a mechanical arm and fired. Daniel dove, dragging Soraya behind cover. The blast tore through a console, sending sparks flying. They were outgunned, outmatched, but not out of options. Daniel pulled a small power cell from his belt. This will overload the system and shut everything down for 30 seconds. That's all we need, Soraya said. He activated the cell and threw it toward the center of the room. The lights dimmed. The machine stumbled. They ran. Daniel kicked open the vault, grabbed as many crystalline tubes as he could, and turned to escape. But Soraya was frozen. She was staring at the machine's cracked chest. Inside it was a half-burned dog tag. Daniel picked it up. Kyle Gray, Earthborn medic. My brother, he whispered. They used him. They turned him into this. Soraya touched his shoulder gently. Then you need to finish what he couldn't. Daniel nodded, eyes burning. They fled the outpost as the machine began to power back up, howling in rage behind them. But they had the crystalline. They had hope. And now, they had a new reason to fight. A mother's past, a human's pain. The sun had started to rise, casting golden light over the broken land. Daniel, Soraya, and little Yira took shelter inside the remains of a collapsed transport ship. The walls were cracked, the floor dusty, but it was safe. For now. Yira slept peacefully, her chest glowing faintly with the crystalline now powering. Her hybrid heart. Daniel sat across from Soraya, his eyes fixed on the old dog tag in his hand. Kyle Gray, he whispered. My older brother. He was a medic, just like me. Soraya looked at him quietly, her eyes soft. She didn't speak, right away. Then finally she said, I knew him. Daniel looked up sharply. What? Soraya nodded. Your brother saved my life during the early battles. He was captured by my people. They called humans invaders back then. I was a junior healer. I was ordered to let him die. But you didn't, Daniel said softly. No, she whispered. He was hurt, scared, but still tried to heal others around him. Even my people. He didn't see an enemy. He saw pain. So I helped him escape. Daniel's hands trembled. Then he ran. Soraya's voice cracked. He didn't leave, he stayed. With me, the fire between them crackled gently. Soraya looked away, her voice filled with memory. We hid in the mountains for weeks. He was kind, funny, always humming songs. We fell in love. It felt wrong at first, but we were alone, and he made me believe peace was possible. Tears welled up in her eyes. Then the scouts found us. They called me a traitor. He fought to protect me, and died in my arms. Daniel closed his eyes. He had searched records for years, hoping to find what happened to Kyle. Now he knew. His brother had died not as a soldier, but as a man in love, protecting a family no one knew existed. Soraya reached into a small cloth pouch and handed him something. It was a photo. Old, worn, Kyle and Soraya, smiling. And in Soraya's belly. She was pregnant, with Yira, she said softly. After he died, I fled. I couldn't let them take her. My people hate hybrids. They would have destroyed her. Daniel looked at the sleeping child, now glowing with Crystalian's energy. She's his daughter, he whispered. And yours now, Soraya said. You saved her. Twice. Daniel stood slowly, walking to the edge of the wrecked ship. The wind carried the smell of smoke and dust. He looked into the distance, toward the direction of the forbidden outpost. My brother died in that lab, he said. And they used his body. They turned him into a machine. Soraya walked beside him. He lives in her now, she said, gently touching Yira's chest. In her eyes. In her heartbeat. Not in that monster they built. Daniel turned toward her. I promised I'd protect her. I didn't know who she was, but I felt it. She felt like family. She is your family, Soraya said. There was a silence between them, not empty, full of unspoken things. Then suddenly, boom. A blast shook the earth. The wreckage trembled. They both turned. Black smoke rose in the distance. Daniel grabbed his scanner. Something's coming. Soraya's voice was calm but firm. They tracked us. The machine wants Yira back. Daniel's voice hardened. Let them come. Attack at dawn. The sky turned orange as dawn broke over the shattered world. Light spilled across the hills, casting long shadows over the broken transport ship where Daniel, Soraya, and Yira had spent the night. But peace never lasted long. The ground shook beneath them. Not once. Twice. Then again. Soraya's eyes widened. They found us. Daniel rushed to the edge of the ship's opening. Dust clouds rose in the distance. Machines moved fast. Three-legged walkers, scavenger drones, and in the center of them all, the monster from the outpost, the armored hybrid machine. Once human, once his brother. It walked like a god of death. Slow, heavy, unstoppable. Its eyes glowed red in the morning light. Target reacquired. Hybrid child must be retrieved. Resistance will be eliminated. Daniel turned to Soraya. Run. Take Yira. I'll hold them off. But Soraya didn't move. We do this together, she said, fire in her voice. I won't leave you. Or her. Daniel hesitated, then nodded. He set up a defense using old scrap and energy charges. Soraya placed Yira in a small shielded cocoon, kissing her forehead. The child stirred in her sleep but did not wake. Then, silence. The machines had arrived. The first drone flew toward them. Daniel shot it mid-air. It exploded in flame. Another walker approached, firing plasma shots. Daniel and Soraya ducked, returning fire. The ground lit up with blue and red flashes. "Left flank," Soraya shouted, blasting another drone. Daniel fought with sharp skill. He wasn't just a medic now. He was a protector, a brother, a father. The armored hybrid marched forward, ignoring the chaos. "You are protecting a forbidden child. Surrender." Daniel stepped forward, gripping his pistol. "She's not forbidden, she's family." The machine paused. Emotion. Detected. Conflicting data. Suddenly the machine shook its head violently as if struggling. Daniel saw something flicker in its eyes. Just for a moment. Blue, not red. "Kyle, is that you?" "That," Daniel whispered. "Kyle, can you hear me?" The machine stepped back, confused. Soraya noticed it too. "He's still inside. Your brother. He's fighting it." But the moment passed. The red glow returned. Emotion rejected. Target must be destroyed. Daniel had one last charge left, powerful enough to take the whole machine down, but too big to throw. He would have to stay. "I'll buy you time," he told Soraya. "No," she screamed. "She needs you more," he said softly. "Go." He ran toward the machine, shouting, "Hey, I'm the one you want." The machine turned, raising its weapon. Daniel slammed the charge into the ground and activated it. A high-pitched whine filled the air. Soraya grabbed Yira's cocoon and ran, tears falling from her eyes. The explosion was massive. Fire lit up the dawn, dust and metal flew into the sky. The machine fell to one knee and stopped moving. Smoke filled the air, and Daniel was gone. Far from the blast zone, Soraya collapsed behind a broken hill, shielding Yira in her arms. She looked back. Only fire remained. Her voice cracked. "Daniel!" But just as she wept, a figure limped out of the smoke, burnt, bleeding, barely standing. It was Daniel. He smiled weakly. "Told you I'd hold them off." Soraya ran to him, catching him before he collapsed. "You fool," she cried, laughing. Through her tears, he looked at her, then at Yira. "Is she safe?" Soraya nodded. "She's breathing." The light in her chest. The wind was calm now. The sky above the wasteland had softened to pale blue, the morning sun gently rising over the battlefield. Fires still smoked in the distance where Daniel had made his final stand. But for a moment, there was peace. Daniel lay back against a chunk of fallen steel, his body trembling. Burns covered his arms and blood dripped from his leg. But he was alive. Barely. Soraya sat beside him, holding his hand. Her violet skin was stained with dust and sweat, her golden eyes filled with tears. Little Yira rested between them, silent and still. Her glow was fading again. "She's going dark," Soraya whispered. Daniel weakly pulled the last crystalline tube from his jacket. "This is the last one," he said, voice hoarse. "We better pray it's enough." Soraya nodded and gently opened the small chest socket in Yira's body. A soft hum came from within, like a quiet song that had forgotten its melody. She carefully poured the crushed crystalline dust into the core chamber. They waited. Seconds passed. Nothing. Daniel's heart sank. No, come on." Then, a pulse. A small light blinked in Yira's chest. Then another. Then a steady rhythm. Thump, thump, thump. Suddenly, Yira took a deep breath. Her tiny hands twitched. Her eyes opened, bright, golden, and full of life. She looked at Daniel and smiled. And then, something happened. Her chest lit up, brighter than before. A pure white light poured from her skin, wrapping around Daniel's injuries. Soraya gasped. "She's healing you." The wounds on Daniel's body slowly closed. The bleeding stopped. Burn marks faded into healthy skin. The pain began to vanish. He looked down at Yira in shock. "She has human DNA," Soraya whispered. "And Sarayan core energy. That combination, it's creating something new. Something powerful." Daniel could feel warmth spreading through, his body not just healing him but filling him with something else. Hope. Yira sat up fully now, laughing softly. She reached out her arms toward Daniel. He picked her up, holding her close. "You saved me, little star," he whispered. Soraya watched, tears in her eyes. She placed her hand on Yira's back. "She's more than either of us ever knew." "She's the future," Daniel said. Suddenly, Soraya's face turned serious. "If the machine survived that blast, and they'll come again." Daniel stood, stronger now. "Then we make a choice." "What choice?" "We don't run anymore," he said, his voice steady. "We go back to the ancient place, the healing temple. If anyone can protect her, it's there. That's where humans and Sorayans first made peace. Before the wars, before the lies." Soraya looked at Yira. "And maybe they'll see what we see." Daniel looked at her. "What's that?" Soraya smiled, brushing a lock of hair from Yira's glowing forehead. "Light," she said, "born from both worlds, and meant to unite them. The bond beyond blood." The ancient healing temple stood quiet atop the cliffs of Valtheran. Built thousands of years ago, it had once welcomed both humans and Sorayans, before war turned peace into ashes. Now, vines grew over its glowing walls, and its doors had not opened in decades, until today. Daniel, Soraya, and little Yira reached the front steps as the sun began to set. The doors, sensing Yira's presence, creaked open slowly with a deep, echoing hum. Inside, the temple was alive, with soft golden light. Floating stones moved gently through the air. The walls pulsed like a heartbeat. It wasn't just a building, it was alive, connected to the energies of both species. As they stepped inside, the energy reacted to Yira. Light burst from her chest. The temple responded, glowing brighter. Suddenly, a voice echoed around them. "Hybrid signature detected. Peace key confirmed." Daniel looked at Soraya. "Peace key?" Soraya's eyes were wide. "It's a legend, from before the war. They said a child born of both worlds would awaken the temple and bring balance." Yira reached out her hand. The lights followed her like fireflies. She was smiling. Then, the ground rumbled. Outside, a dark shape appeared on the horizon. The machine had returned. It was damaged, sparking, but still alive. It stomped forward, voice broken and cracked. "Mission incomplete. Child must be surrendered." Daniel stepped outside the temple, standing at the edge of the stairs. "She's not yours," he shouted. "She's not a weapon, she's hope." The machine raised its arm to fire, but before it could, Yira walked out behind Daniel, her tiny feet glowing as they touched the stone. Her eyes shone brighter than ever before. She raised her hand calmly. The machine froze, shaking. Lights flickered across its armor. Inside, the programming clashed with memory. Yira stepped forward and touched the machine's chest, right where Kyle's human heart used to be. A soft pulse echoed. The red light in its eyes turned blue, and for a moment, the machine whispered, "Brother." Then the machine collapsed, power drained, gone, forever. Daniel fell to his knees, staring in awe. "She reached him," he whispered. "Even after death, she brought him peace." Soraya held Yira close. The temple's voice returned. Balance restored. Family recognized. Guardian bond activated. A beam of light touched Daniel and Soraya. Symbols formed on their arms, ancient markings of unity. "What is this?" Daniel asked. Soraya smiled softly. It's a life bond. The temple accepted you as her father, and me as your mate. Daniel blinked, stunned. Wait, we're bonded now? Soraya laughed gently. By Sarayan law, yes. Daniel looked at her, then at Yira, smiling, glowing, resting in her mother's arms. He took a deep breath, then nodded. Then I guess I'm not just a medic anymore. Soraya smiled wider. No, you're a father now. 1 week later, the temple had reopened to the world. Other survivors, both human and Sarayan, had come, following the light. They didn't come to fight. They came in peace. All because of a child, half human, half alien, who showed them that love, not blood, defines a family. Daniel stood on the temple steps, Yira in one arm, Soraya beside him, and for the first time in a long time, he felt home.